What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. So I already said this yesterday, the playoffs mode right off the bat, the best thing UFL has going for them. For several reasons. One, obviously, it gives you another, mode to play. Within that mode, you can rank your players up, so you have an answer there to newer players that want to grind their team up but don't want to go into, divisions or showdown and face 91 rated teams every game. So now they can play the game, learn the game, be involved, get rewards, and also rank their team up. It also gives players a motivation to play the game, right? Not only for the rewards, which let's be honest, they're not that great as usual, but you get a quote-unquote championship, right? There's an actual tournament there. You're playing for something, and your opponent gets better as you go. Obviously, it's only AI, but it still increases difficulty as you go. So these are just things that give you diversity in the game. All good things. With that being said, I wanted to use my time playing this mode to test out the differences, right? And test out what would the game be like if you got rid of a lot of the exploits, because the AI, they're not going to use the exploits. And immediately I could tell if you got rid of rats, which again, this ties into a lot of the videos I've already, made, but it really answers that one particular comment where, some people say it's not the players' faults, they're just trying to compete. It's the developers' fault. Yes, you're right. The developers should know they need to get rid of this stuff. Otherwise, it's going to take over their game. You're 100% right. In reality, that's true. But the developers aren't going and holding a gun to these players' heads and saying, you must use the exploits. In fact, UFL strikers would be so happy if no players use the exploits. They would love it if everyone played this game without the exploits. The problem is, that's not reality. So with the exploits, you have a broken game. Without them, the game is great, right? For where it's at. Now, is it an FC? No, but I've already said before that's, when I say it's great, that's taking in rule number one. You have to judge it on its own. It is nowhere near FC. It's not going to even be close unless they start changing a lot of things, but it will still take years down the road. But if you look at UFL as its separate thing, like I do eFootball, because it's a total unique experience, right? It's nothing like FC. The controls, even though you can change them to be similar in eFootball, it's totally unique. UFL, same thing. They have the same controls, and up to this point, I'd say they almost try to be like a carbon copy in a way to FC, and I think they need to veer away from that, because when I play this game against the AI, I see potential to have a fun game like it was at the beginning, because this game is actually nothing like it was at the initial release. What made it fun, despite some of the glitches, lack of animations, things like that, is that it was open and free-flowing, right? And what you see immediately when you play these AI teams is it's open, it's free-flowing, you can pass and move. And yes, you're playing through balls, and some of them, like this one, will be perfect, right? And maybe it is animation-based, because while this one's perfect, the next one may go right at the defender and lock onto him. Okay, is that annoying? Yes, but guess what? With the ability to openly attack, right, without the spacing being botched up like it is in player versus player, it's okay, because you're going to get another chance. Yes, every once in a while, like that pass there, it's not going to lock on to the correct target, and you're going to lose the ball. Is that annoying? Absolutely. But again, see, you've seen it there again. You still have the ability to openly attack, and if your opponent's dealing with it too, it's easier, right, when you can still play football, to go, okay, they have these certain glitches and nonsense, but it's still awesome. I can still play, whatever my, preferred tactics and formation is, and still have fun, and still skill-based. You still have to manually defend. You still have to find the right passing lanes, choose if you want a player to run, go for a through ball or come to, and you have to choose if you want to play wide, play narrow, if you want to change up your tactics based on how your opponent's playing, right? If you're down a goal, do you start going more attacking, or do you be patient and let the game, come to you, and eventually, you'll get one? There's just so much that goes into a good football game where there's two skilled players, and that's what's great about it. And if one player is more skilled than the other, it's going to typically be that player wins the game, because there are no exploits, right? The biggest problem when you have player versus player, first off, is besides using all the exploits, a particular exploit, the biggest problem is the spacing gets jacked up. So now if you're not playing in a very particular way and trying to score in a very particular way, you're not going to be successful. So right there takes away from the football experience. It takes away from the fun of you being able to play in, the setup that you want to play in, right? It doesn't even matter what your opponent's playing. All that matters is I got to find a way to shoot through like 8 players, right? And then I have to make sure that this Haaland or Mbappe or whoever doesn't, exploit sprint, L1R2 sprint, up the field 30 yards away and take a shot. You get what I'm saying? So if you take those things away, then it becomes about, like I said earlier, playing football. So what can UFL do right away to fix this, to make it more like what you're seeing here versus AI? Obviously, the quality of the AI isn't good, but the open spacing, right? That was one of the biggest things you heard at initial release. Now you add that to some of the improvements they did make, right? The passing overall is better. The through balls, now at least you have some success with them. They're not completely fixed, but you have some success, right? If you add these things in, but then take away that 30-yard finesse shot, right? You guys need to do that ASAP. By you guys, I mean strikers. Take that away. Take away the depth and the width for now. Okay, now hear me out. If you just take away the ability to change the depth and the width for now, as you guys work on it, strikers, and you just give like everybody used a, universal depth and width for every player, and you let people know, in the meantime, this is your width, it is this, whatever it is, and this is your depth. No matter if you play a 3-back, a 5-back, or a traditional 4-back system, your depth is this and your width is this. As we work on it, once we fix this, we will then provide you the option of manually changing it. Yes, will that be, is that what you want to do? Obviously not, right? But think about it. It's not the end of the world that you're taking that away. It's not like you're saying, you can't just take away finesse shots out of the game. I mean, you could, but that would be, come on, guys, what gives? But you can absolutely give a universal width and depth while you fix it, and overall players are going to be much happier. And you can always give that option back to the players later, but you have to fix this. In the meantime, that right away would open up the gameplay so much more, and it would actually allow for players to enjoy some of these fixes you made. Now, after you do that, like I said, you take away that 30-yard finesse shot. How would you do that? Now, would it be crazy to say, the shoot button won't work from 30 yards out? Yes. But I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it would be pretty easy to increase the goalie, by X amounts to make sure they're saving those 30-yard finesse shots, right? Make it back to where it is, maybe, 15 yards in, 20 yards in, because then the defenders actually should be closing down the attacker, and, then you could say, even if the shots are overpowered, with a skilled defender, you can still shut them down. At 30 yards out, it's going to be hard to shut down a player that far out without just going in and diving in with your defender. Many defenders aren't going to be rushing to, get super tight or block a shot from that far out. So that's the unrealistic part of it. But if you fix that and then you make the spacing universal so players can't play like rats and sit back, then, last but not least, take away this L1R2 sprint, okay? Because players take very fast players to begin with, and then they just use it to make up for their lack of skill. Oh, we can't pass and build the ball up to create a chance? Okay, I'm going to L1R2 sprint around the edge of all these players, and then, go for whatever, the 30-yard finesse, the cross, if they're that type, the snapshot, whatever it is. So you must do, if you fix those things right off the bat, the game can be enjoyable. That's the biggest thing I took away from this playoffs mode, is that, yes, I'm sitting there destroying an AI team in the mode. Would I necessarily play the mode for that? No, some players will, right? But the idea of the mode is great. Too, I already said that. However, the biggest thing I took is that the spacing, the openness, right? The fun that you get passing and moving the ball and shooting, and some of the good sequences that you can get, all of that goes out the window when you start getting player versus player because of all the exploits. So if you just go down the list, like I said, the spacing, take away the 30-yard finesse shot, take away the L1 R2 sprint glitch. Right then and there, you've already made the game like literally 60% more fun. And then you can chip away with it from there. But first and foremost, get that universal width and depth of the defense, okay? Then obviously you're still going to have that issue with the spacing between your midfield and defense, because you said you fixed it, but you didn't. So you'd have to address that next. But just that width and depth, having that availability, even if the midfielders are a little, close to the defenders spacing-wise defensively, now that those gaps are truly there, like you said, but they truly are there, because now players can't manipulate it. Now it's no going to one depth, one width. You provide that. Take it away from the tactics. Now there truly will be gaps, and players truly will be punished because of the manual defense. Now, as you go, you got to fix like defensive fluidity and things like that, but that would be a huge start. So as you're playing the AI mode, if it's anything like me, it makes you yearn for how the game was at the beginning, right? How open it was. And even though some of these glitches would happen, you were still having fun playing this game. And you could still go in with any tactical setup you wanted as long as you used it properly, right? And it's clear in this playoffs mode that that's all still there. It's just the player versus player. What ruins it is these players go for all these exploits, right? Even though in general they said, oh, we fixed these exploits. They didn't. Strikers didn't. That's the bottom line. So hopefully this type of, mindset gets to them, because if they start doing these things, which there's no doubt in my mind, right? And somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no doubt in my mind that they can literally take the width and depth option away from the players and give a universal width and depth while they work on it, right? That right there, I'd say, is like a 30% increase. And the rest, like I said, with the finesse shot and fixing that sprint will be, a total of like a 60% improvement to your game already. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. That's what I took away from the playoffs mode, besides the fact that it's literally the best mode right now, because the PvP is so broken, you can actually have fun playing in this playoff style event where you actually have a purpose to play, get rewards, and you're going for something, right? So hopefully this gets to the right people. Maybe we could get this video spread. I understand I'm extremely small as far as content creators go, so it's highly unlikely, but you never know. We got some videos out there. If you can, help me share this, help me spread this, even if it's not the video, just the idea of taking away the players' ability to make their defense broken, right? Giving that universal depth, and with just that alone, if we could get that, man, it would be going in a huge shift to going in the right direction. So with that being said, keep grinding, keep having fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.